What's up, everyone? Welcome to Before the Score, episode number 37. We got a lot of stuff to get to you for today. We got your NFL Week 8 picks. We got the World Series. Halloween is this weekend. So, guys, level with me real quick, because this is the first you're going to be hearing about this. We have a little Halloween-themed competition today. We're going to have a little draft. Say 3-on-3 basketball. Obviously, we count as one of those three. And you get to pick two Halloween-themed teammates, like a monster, a Jason Voorhees, a Freddy Krueger. So that'll be the ending of the show. Watch for that, because we're gonna see who would win the 3-on-3 tournament between us and those Halloween guys. So let's start off with some baseball, because that's been kind of the quota the last couple of weeks. We got the World Series, Game 6 tonight, the Rays and the Dodgers. Pablo Hernandez, I need you to tell me, is tonight the night the Dodgers get coronated, or do the Rays force a Game 7 tomorrow?
Well, number one, Steve, this World Series, in my opinion, it shouldn't even be Dodgers and Rays. But I can't say that the Rays didn't earn it. Obviously, they earned it. They were the better team. But in my mind, the Yankees had them on the ropes. Houston, they came down from a 3-0 deficit, and they almost won the series. So Houston almost came back and beat them. So they do deserve to be where they are at right now. In my opinion, I just wish it was my team there instead of them. But the Dodgers, look, I picked them in 7. If you guys look on the Instagram page, I picked Dodgers in 7. I just thought, the Rays, they have just, the whole entire year, they have just been beating up on these teams, and they've been, sort of playing up to their competition. So the Dodgers are probably the best team in baseball. They have depth up and down their lineup. Their pitching is really good, really young pitching. They have a nasty middle of the order. Their bats are disgusting. And I just thought that the Rays are just going to be too hard to be put down, especially with the emergence of, guys like a Rosarena and, some of their pitchers, sort of being put into the main spotlight, obviously, because of Tampa Bay. Nobody ever hears about these people. So I do not think that the Dodgers win tonight. I think that Blake Snell and the Tampa Bay Rays, they force a Game 7. And look, Game 7, that's the two greatest words in all of sports. You love Game 7s. Game 7s, they have the greatest ratings of any sports game all year. Game 7s are, you have to see a winner. You're going to see something that maybe you didn't expect that day. So I still have Dodgers in 7.
Yeah, I'm going to agree a little bit with Pablo here. I do think that the Rays win this Game 6. By the time you listen to this podcast, I'm either going to be right or I'm going to be wrong. But I think Snell and the Rays match up really well. I think Gonsolin's going for the Dodgers. I think the Rays easily have the better pitching matchup tonight. And the problem with the Rays is they get down early to the Dodgers. That Dodgers potent lineup always kind of gets that early lead. You saw it in Game 5 with Mookie Betts starting the first bat of the game with a double. If the Rays fall behind early, they're going to be in big trouble, because I don't think they have the bats to kind of catch up to the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers, if they get a lead on you, you can't hold them for the rest of the game and hope your offense comes back. So they're going to keep adding to that lead. So I think the Rays, they jump out to an early lead. I think they can get to Gonsolin. I think Snell kind of matches up better than any Rays pitcher does against this Dodgers lineup. This Dodgers lineup isn't as great against lefties as they are against righties. So I think that he kind of has the right magic to kind of force a Game 7. And mainly I'm picking this because, as I'm wearing a Rays hat, I picked the Rays to win the World Series back in July. So I kind of have to stick to my guns with that. But, 2020 is a wacky year, and the MLB 2020 season is a wacky season. So, it's only fitting that it goes 7 games for the World Series. It'd be kind of boring and a little bit of a letdown if this game ends in 6. You saw the Rays have a little bit of that magic with Rosarena being one of the best playoff hitters of all time this year. Guys like Brett Phillips stepping up in big moments. So I think the Rays have a little bit more magic left in them. I think if it went to a Game 7, obviously the Dodgers would be heavy favorites. They have the better roster than the Rays. They should win tonight, and they should win the series. But I don't know. I don't think it's that simple. I think if you get to a Game 7, if the Rays can just win tonight and force a Game 7, you never know what can happen. A Game 7, all bets are off. Honestly, the better team doesn't always win. It's just whoever's hotter that night and whoever has a little bit more magic. So who knows?
I picked the Rays in 7. I got to stick with it. Like you said, stick with your original prediction. Of course, mine was Reds and A's, but I did have them losing. I did have them beating the Rays and Dodgers in the championship series round. So, I mean, that's close enough for those two. And I really love the way Randy Arozarena has come on this playoffs. I think he's been fantastic, and he's been very clutch as well. He did take a tumble around third, but though it's been working out. When it's your year, and he still scored. So Randy Arozarena, I expect him to have a good game. And the Dodgers, I just think they're getting too cute in these games with the Gonsolin bullpen type games they've been throwing out there against the Rays. I just really don't think that's the smart way to try to beat them. They're trying to beat the Rays at their own game, kind of, and it's just not going to work. I mean, Alex Rodriguez was livid about this on the post-game show because he was just like, why not just do the kill shot? Just be done with it. Start Dustin May. Just let him go to work. And I didn't understand that from the beginning, and I still don't why they wouldn't just do that. But in a Game 7, I would really be surprised to see, I believe the Rays would start Charlie Morton, right, in Game 7?
On a short rest, I would think it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the thing, right? If you have to win today, if you don't win today, there is no tomorrow. So expect everybody to be available tonight and everybody obviously to be available tomorrow because tomorrow is going to be the final game of the season. So they have to do everything in their power to win this game. Now, one big thing that I have to look at here, number one, the bats for the Dodgers. You look at Corey Seager, you look at Justin Turner. These guys have been unbelievable in the postseason. I mean, especially in the World Series, these guys they can't get out. They are unreal for this Dodgers team. But if the Dodgers do find some way to lose this game, and who knows, maybe they lose tomorrow, we are going to look back at that major collapse, in that game on Saturday where the Rays came back, and we're going to look back at those stupid errors in the 9th inning. And, that is something where I really thought that it was very important for the Dodgers to win, that Sunday game, because if they didn't, I mean, that type of win for a team, for the Rays, just coming back from behind, winning on an error, that's something that could spark, life in that team. That's something that could really get them going and force them to win a few games and win the World Series. So if the Dodgers do not win tonight and they end up losing tomorrow, man, that game is going to loom large because, hey, look, this series should already be over. There should not be a Game 6. It should have been Dodgers in 5. So, man, the Dodgers, in my opinion, I would want to end it today. A-Rod, he hates, obviously, the start of Tony Goslin, and he hates the fact that they're doing bullpen games. Look, it's the playoffs, man. You kind of have to go with somebody who's going to give you length. If you're going to go to somebody and, you go straight to the bullpen, what do you do in a sense where a game goes really long and then you have no arms? It just affects the whole series. I mean, the Yankees had the similar thing with the Devi Garcia thing. You cannot do things like that in the postseason. It's going to come back to bite you.
I mean, you look at the Dodgers, and after Game 4, when they blew that game, they had that lead in the 9th inning, and they blew it off a single to the worst player on the Rays roster, Brett Phillips, and then the error in the outfield, the bad throw, the bad catch by Will Smith. That's a kind of play and a kind of finish to a game that can kind of crumble a team's World Series hopes. So the fact that they went out there in Game 5 and still won that game and asserted their dominance, they were cruising for most of that game. So that really impressed me from the Dodgers. So honestly, the Dodgers should win tonight, but the Rays have the best chance that they can get with Snell on the mound. So they have to get this game. They have to get the lead early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Rays have to get out, fast start, and just don't take your foot off the gas pedal because you use that momentum and you'll carry it into a Game 7 if you do win tonight. And the Dodgers, if they lose another World Series, I don't know how their fan base will ever recover from that. Maybe they'll have to talk to Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills because it is just an unprecedented stretch if they lose again in the World Series. Let's move on from baseball real quick, talk a little college football / NFL. I'm excited because Rutgers is looking pretty good after their first win. But I'll talk about Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, because he said some interesting things that are going to interest Andrew Morgan today, where as of last year, it was really, really would be a shocking thing to see him go back to college. And now today it seems he's not so sure. he thinks he might go back to school. He might finish his diploma. He might try to go back, maybe get his master's or something, because the Jets are calling at number 1, it seems. Andrew, how heartbreaking would it be for you guys to get the number 1 pick and Trevor Lawrence to stay in school?
Honestly, if there's a year where the top quarterback can shelf a team and say, I'm not going to you, you're too dysfunctional, it's this year. Because I do like the other quarterbacks in this class. I like Justin Fields. I like Trey Lance. I like Penny Sewell from Oregon, the lineman. So there's options in the top 3. If you're the Jets, you can trade back a couple of picks, let another team take a quarterback if you don't want anyone after Trevor Lawrence. But I really don't think that Trevor Lawrence is going to pull this Peyton Manning and go back to school for a year. There's just so much risk, because you go back to school for a year, you risk regression, you risk getting hurt again, you're skipping out on millions of dollars. The number 1 pick in the NFL draft and the rookie contract makes so much money. You'd be passing up on a lot and banking that the team the next year is a better team than the Jets. It might be the Jaguars, it might be the Jets again. So I mean, there's no guarantee that a better system is going to fall into your lap, because you're still going to be the number 1 pick most likely. And the teams that are getting this number 1 pick are not good franchises. The Browns, the Bengals, the Jets. None of these are good situations. So you're going to be trading one bad situation for another bad situation. So I get the temptation of wanting to go back to college because he has that extra year of eligibility, but I don't think that it makes a lot of sense for him. I think if he really doesn't want to go to the Jets, he can say, I'm entering the draft, but I refuse to play for the Jets. Trade me to another team if you're going to draft me, or trade the pick to another franchise that I think is not going to ruin me like we did Sam Darnold. I wouldn't really blame him for that. Honestly, if I was in his shoes, I'd consider that, even as a Jets fan. But I think at the end of the day, there's a good chance that if the Jets have the number 1 pick, that he does come out and takes his number 1 pick.
Now, would you rather take – so Lawrence, of course, if he is there, you're going to take him. Mm-hmm. But if it really comes down to it, would you rather have – Fields be the quarterback, or stay with Darnold for another year, because this guy's still so talented and young, and try to build around him with that number 1 pick, the Seahawks pick, and more?
Now, it's normally I like Sam Darnold. I've always been a big Sam Darnold fan. This year, honestly, like, you can say that he has no weapons. You can say that his offensive line has failed him, but I've watched these games and he hasn't looked himself. He's been getting worse and worse every year. I blame like 80% of that on Adam Gase and kind of ruining his mechanics and his growth as a quarterback. But the Sam Darnold I'm watching this year, that's not a guy that I want to go forward with. He doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. And you think about it, the Jets are firing Adam Gase at the end of the year. They're going to have a new coach in 2021. And that coach is going to want their own quarterback. If you're sitting there and Justin Fields or Trey Lance is there, they're probably going to want their quarterback to groom. The general manager, Joe Douglas, didn't draft Sam Darnold, so he doesn't have ties to him. So personally, honestly, I would take a quarterback still. If they have a top 2 pick and they're that bad and Sam Darnold doesn't look better from now to the end of the year, I think you still have to take a quarterback.
Now, Pablo, if you are Trevor Lawrence, what's your decision? Are you going to the Jets, or are you staying at Clemson?
Well, number 1, when you talk about the number 1 overall pick, it doesn't matter whether it's the Jets or the Browns, or, but it doesn't matter what team it is, because they're ultimately going to be the worst team. They're ultimately going to have the worst situation. Now, if you talk about number 1 overall pick, I don't even think about it. I don't care what sport it is. I don't care what team I'm going to. If you're looking at number 1 overall pick and you're looking at big money, multi-million dollars, you're looking at potentially starting. And, if you get drafted to a team, you're most likely going to be their cornerstone player. They're the face of the franchise. So that's something where I take it. I don't care where I go. It just goes to show you how bad this Jet situation is, that he doesn't want to be a part of it. But then again, these are all rumors. To me, I just think he's keeping his options open. But I do think that regardless of what team he goes to, whether the Jets end up pulling off a victory this season, we'll see. I think that he goes number 1.
Now let's try to merge these first 2 subjects, baseball, number 1 pick of the draft, because Pablo, you've been very outspoken about a former number 1 pick who also played baseball, who you have said had made the wrong decision. Now, instead of these long minor league bus rides and making no money, Kyler Murray is out here balling on Sunday Night Football, beating Russell Wilson and your Seattle Seahawks. So can you honestly tell me, that Kyler Murray made the wrong decision by choosing the NFL over the MLB still?
Look, obviously he made the right decision. He skipped the whole minor league system and he went straight to the NFL by being drafted. The only thing that got me upset with Kyler Murray was the fact that he wasted the Oakland A's time. He said, yeah, I'll play for you guys. Then again, he didn't play for them, and they ended up wasting a draft pick. That's the only problem I have with him. He was just a giant waste of time. He could have saved all that and just said, you know what, guys, I appreciate you for looking out and for scouting me, but you know what, I'm going to go play football. He didn't do that. So that's my only problem with him. But obviously, look, he's one of the top young stars in the entire sport. He's doing great. He's in a good situation out there in Arizona, so he's doing fine. But when you talk about number one overall pick in any sport, I say yes.
But what is the difference between Kyler Murray doing that and a player like Mark Apple or these high school players who spurn these front offices by being first-round picks and saying, "Nah, I'm going back to college or I'm going back to high school"? What's your opinion on that then?
I mean, my opinion, I don't know, man. I've never been that talented at anything where I could just say, you know what, I'm not going, to the highest of high in my profession. I don't want to play in the big leagues. I've never had that situation come to me. I mean, if I were given that type of opportunity, I would never want to turn it down. So I don't know what goes through these guys' minds. I really don't know, man.
I don't know. What do you expect Kyler Murray to do in that situation, though? Yes, he was a first-round pick in the MLB, but he really never got a chance in college football. So you didn't know how much potential he had there and what his draft stock would have been. So, of course, if he's drafted in the first round, he's going to say, yeah, I'm all aboard this, but I'm going to play football. I owed it to myself to see what I have in football. And he did, and he was one of the best players in college football and was the number one pick. So, obviously, if you know you're that highly touted going into the NFL and you have that much more guaranteed money and pathway to stardom, you're going to take that opportunity. I think anybody in Kyler Murray's shoes would have did the exact same thing. It's just not his fault that he's that talented and was that good at baseball that he kind of screwed over the Oakland Athletics. But, I mean, that's a risk in the MLB draft that every team has to face. If you're drafting these guys who have other options, that's a risk that you have to take with that first-round pick, that you have the chance of losing it to them either going to college or playing football, apparently, because they're that talented and they have that great of opportunities.
Kyler Murray bet on himself. He could have easily taken the money from baseball and ran and then go and do your 10-year service and fight in arbitration for your money. Instead, he bet on himself, won the Heisman, won the Rookie of the Year, and now he's in MVP talks. It's definitely one of the best stories I've seen in football. And I have been on record as a Kyler Murray hater over the last couple of years. But this has – and I like Texas A&M, so of course it hurts me to see him do so well for Oklahoma and now the Cardinals and do nothing for us. But I believe that if he wins the MVP, it'll definitely be one of the greatest upsets in the NFL. And it really will just drive home the point that you have to take risks to rebuild, and that's what the Arizona Cardinals did, and it has worked out so great for them. And New York Giants, New York Jets, Jaguars should all take notes on what they've done.
Sunday Night Football was an MVP preview, by the way. I don't think anyone really appreciated it that much that you have Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray, two of the most exciting players to watch, and they're putting up insane numbers. So I think they're easily the top two horses in this race right now.
And let's not forget, during the game, both of those players had their starting running backs go down with injuries and had to compete the whole rest of the game without them. Kenyon Drake, who has not been much of a starting running back, but he's still the starting running back, and Chris Carson, who's still a beast. So them going down and them still putting up those performances were just a sight to behold. Definitely one of the better Sunday Night Football games in the last couple of years. Let's move on here. Let's talk some football, Week 8. Let's make some picks here. Let's win some money. Let's start off with Thursday Night Football. Kind of another ugly game, ugly divisional game here. We got the Falcons at the Panthers. Panthers open up as 2.5-point favorites. Who you got in this one, guys?
This is probably the matchup that any bettor hates the most, mainly because the Falcons are easily the worst team in the NFL to bet on, just because they look great at times and they always blow the lead, and you can't trust them. They can beat any team in the league and they can lose to any team in the league. So they're just that volatile. And from a betting standpoint, I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. But if I have to pick a winner here, I think I'll pick the Falcons. I mean, Carolina, they're in every single game. Credit to Matt Rule. That team plays hard and they compete. But the Falcons, they lost another ugly game last week to the Lions. But, I mean, their offense is kind of running into form. Todd Gurley looks good this year. Julio Jones is back to being Julio Jones again and healthy. They have Calvin Ridley still. So I think they'll have enough offensive firepower to kind of outscore the Panthers.
Well, this is something where I always choose the Falcons, and they never win. And I feel like whatever, for every sport, I choose something, and always the opposite happens. So I'm going to say that. Man, this is tough. I'm going to say that the Panthers do end up winning here. I just don't see enough out of this Falcons team. Obviously, they've been terrible this year. I just don't see them winning.
Well, there is a well-documented case called the curse of Pablo, and that scientists are still trying to figure out why the teams you pick are doing so bad. But I'm going to take my chances and agree with you and go with the Carolina Panthers here. Miles Hartsfield, shout out to Cerebral, 2 carries. We'll get some yards this week. Let's go Panthers. Patriots at the Bills. Who would have thought the Patriots 2-4 in Buffalo, 5-2. It's a weird game, but it's 2020, of course. Buffalo Bills are 3.5-point favorites. Does Josh Allen get the win here against Cam Newton?
Now, for how bad the Patriots have looked the past 2 weeks, they got absolutely embarrassed by the 49ers at home. That was probably the worst home loss that Bill Belichick's ever had as Patriots head coach. Honestly, I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to stay with fuck the Bills. I'm not picking them to win. I think Cam Newton gets a get-right game. I think he gets back to the Cam Newton that we saw in the first 3 weeks of the season. That offense moves a little bit better than it did last week, and their defense got torched by San Francisco. But you look at the Bills, and they looked awful. That's the worst 8-point win you can ever have that you had against the Jets. They looked awful against the Jets. They looked awful the prior 2 weeks. I'm just not seeing it with this Bills team, so I'm going to keep picking against them and pick the Patriots.
Look, that Patriots team looked absolutely dreadful on Sunday. I mean, Cam Newton, throwing picks left and right. Man, I just hated everything. I hated everything that I saw out of him. I am going to stick with the Bills. The Bills, to me, are just a far superior team. The Patriots, aside from, their name, their logo, that means nothing. That team is not very good anymore. That team, once Tom Brady left, once they had all these stars leave, they just became a shell of them, their former selves. So I'm going to stick with the Bills here.
If you've ever seen Silence of the Lambs, you know a lot about Buffalo Bill. And I see a lot in these Buffalo Bills, and it has not been pretty last week because the New York Jets should have mopped the floor with them. But they are the Jets still, and the Bills looked like the Bills should have lost last week. And the Patriots, they did lose, and it was scary. It was Halloween in New England. But I'm going to give them a get-right game here. I don't know if Cam Newton's going to have a get-right game, but the Bills own the Bill Belichick, too many Bills, owns the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. So give me Bill Belichick to beat the Bills. I'm just calling William from now on. Next game, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Cincinnati Bengals. Titans are 6.5-point road favorites. Who you got in this game?
Pablo, you start this one off.
Say that again, Steve. I missed it.
Tennessee Titans at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Man, this is a tough one, but I'm going to have to stick with the Tennessee Titans. Look, the Bengals been absolutely terrible this year. Minus a few bright spots from their new quarterback. I just don't like this team whatsoever. I'm going to stick with my pick here.
Now, the Bengals, yes, they're 1-5-1, but they've been one of the more fun teams to watch in the NFL. Their defense is atrocious. Their offensive line is atrocious. But Joe Burrow is playing phenomenal as a rookie with no help around him. You see the rookies and Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins looks phenomenal as a rookie as well. This Bengals team was fun to watch. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Titans. The Titans, they lost a tough one in Pittsburgh to a really good Steelers team. So the Titans kind of need that get-right game. So I think they can steamroll and just – honestly, I don't think Ryan Tannehill has to throw a ball. I think they can just give Derrick Henry 50 carries and they'll be fine. But I do think the Bengals would keep this close. It is a 6-point line, so give me the Bengals to cover, but the Titans to win.
Titans are so inconsistent, and that is why this will be my upset of the week. Joe Burrow is going to get his defining win of his rookie season against a team that played in the AFC Championship game last year. If Bobby Hart can just protect him for maybe an extra half a second, the Bengals can win this game. Burrow threw for 400 yards against the Browns. He won't throw for 400 against the Titans, but the Titans' defense has not been good, and I think that Burrow can score some points against them. Hopefully he gets Joe Mixon back, and then they'll get the win this week. Las Vegas Raiders at the Cleveland Browns. No OBJ. Odell Beckhamitis is on the sidelines the rest of the year. Browns are still 2.5-point favorites. They still got Baker Mayfield, Pablo. Pablo, will you pick the Browns to beat the Raiders?
I wouldn't pick the Browns if, they had a full team, 100%, no injuries, no anything. I do not like this team. I do not like what they stand for. I think their logo is terrible. Their team name is terrible. They play in a terrible choke city of Cleveland. Look, Vegas Raiders, I like them, bro. I like everything about this team. They might not be the flashiest team, but to me, they're going to crap on the doo-doo Browns.
I think this is actually a really good matchup. Vegas is playing all right as a team. Derek Carr is having one of his better years as a quarterback. He's looked pretty good. John Gruden has that offense kind of playing a lot better than it has in recent years. I do think the Browns are going to win this game, though. I think the loss of Odell doesn't really hurt them that much. You saw after he got hurt last week, the Baker started playing a lot better in the second half. He had a phenomenal second half. Guys like Rashard Higgins stepped up for them. So I think they could still move the ball. I think Kareem Hunt can get a ton of work. So I do think the Browns can win this game at home. I think their defense really needs to pick it up. Their defense has been one of the worst in the NFL this year. So if they can improve any way possible, I think they'll win this game.
Raiders had a chance to win that Buccaneers game, and they just couldn't pull it out there in the John Gruden Bowl. But I really think that they go on the road and they win because this team is a team that has come out strong after losses this year. And the Browns, there has not been enough for me with the Browns this year. Their wins have been impressive, but they've been against teams that are not impressive. And when they played good teams, they've gotten shell-shocked, like the Steelers and the Ravens. So the Raiders, they may not be on that level, but I think they're good enough to compete for a wild card spot in the AFC. And John Gruden's going to have this team riled up because they need this win. So I think they go on the road, they go to Cleveland, they get the upset win, and they entrench themselves in that wild card chase in the AFC. Next game we have the two teams that are 500 or better, surprising. We have the Colts and the Lions at Ford Field in Michigan, and the Lions are 3-point underdogs. Who you got in this one?
Give me the Lions to win this game. They won a very ugly game against Atlanta in a very Atlanta fashion. Honestly, I was high on the Colts. They looked pretty good the first 3 weeks of the season. Their defense was playing really well. Last few weeks, I know they were off last week, but they haven't looked as good. Their defense kind of came back to earth a little bit. I don't see it with Philip Rivers. I know that the Detroit defense isn't good, so that doesn't scare me. But I have a hard time picking Philip Rivers against any above 500 or any 500 team for that matter. So give me the Lions to win a little bit of an upset here.
Look, I'm not feeling the Lions. They beat a crap team in Atlanta, a team that, like I said, they have all the talent in the world. They just can't put it together. So I'm going to have to go against the Lions here. They're not going to win 2 in a row. The Lions are just not a very impressive squad to me. So
TJ Hawkinson's having a great year. I really like what the Lions are building on offense, and especially with them giving the ball more to DeAndre Swift, because it's been a crime how underused he was before the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to pick the Colts to win here. I think this team is the better team. Philip Rivers, he'll probably have a lot of time to throw the ball, which could be a bad thing because if he has time to think, he might throw more picks. But I'm going to go with them. He's messed me up before. I will not bet on this game because I will never bet on the Colts again. But I do think they're going to win this game. Next game we have here, the division rivalry, the Vikings and the Packers. Packers are 6.5-point favorites here. Will they cover this spread? Will they beat the Vikings? Will they keep the division fully in their hands?
Yeah, you look at the Vikings and their season has just completely fallen apart. Sorry, Dan, no more Skull Vikings. They traded away Yannick Ngakoue. Their defense is absolutely atrocious. This is the worst defense that Mike Zimmer has ever trotted out onto the field. I don't know what the over-under in this game is, but hammer the over. I think the Packers, they should get Aaron Jones back this week. I think the Packers can put up 35 points easily on this Vikings team. So I think they'll win. I think the Vikings can keep up with them a little bit on offense. Dalvin Cook should be back. Justin Jefferson, one of my favorite receivers in the draft last year, has been phenomenal this year. So I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game, but I don't think the Vikings can stop Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense.
Absolutely zero shot that the Packers don't roll over on this team. Man, this isn't even going to be close. You have one of the better teams in the sport, and you have one of the worst teams in the sport. Not named the Jets. I'm sorry. This team is absolutely dreadful. Yeah, man, discount double check all over the Minnesota Vikings this week.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers might as well be filming another State Farm commercial this week because it's going to be a bloodbath this week. He's going to take the Vikings to school. It's going to be a blowout. I hope Justin Jefferson gets me some fantasy points, but that's about it. That's about all the Vikings are going to contribute to this game. The Packers are going to win big against Minnesota. Another team that might win big is the Kansas City Chiefs, 19.5-point favorites over the New York Jets. Andrew, do the Jets have any chance of winning this game?
Let me say a little something about this game. I won't go as far to say this is a trap game. I do think the Jets will cover this game. And I bet on the Jets to not cover last week, and they did cover. So the Chiefs are going to win by 30 points, that means. But I will say the Jets will cover. And the Chiefs, I don't think there's a scenario where they lose this game. I do see a scenario where it could be a little bit closer than people think, like a 2-score game. And I don't know. The Chiefs' defense is a lot. Sam Darnold and the Jets look miserable, but maybe if they can get Denzel Mims a little bit more involved, their defense, isn't a complete embarrassment. They can keep it within 2 scores, but I'm going to have to cover my eyes this Sunday.
Man, I don't know how heavily favored these Chiefs are, but look, if I were a billionaire, I'd throw $1 billion on the Chiefs. I mean, you probably would get nothing, but
You get $4.
geez. Man, this isn't even going to be a game. You could put me in a Chiefs uniform, and I'd score 4 touchdowns over the Jets. I mean, this is going to be really bad to watch.
I don't know about that, Pablo.
Yeah, unless Patrick Mahomes catches the coronavirus, God bless, he doesn't. But unless he does and the entire Chiefs offense is out, even then, I still wouldn't bet on the Jets. The Chiefs are going to win this game. They're going to win big. If the Jets do win this game, it will be one of the biggest upsets in NFL history.
It'd be the biggest upset. I think the Bills beat the Vikings a couple years ago.
Yep, and I love to pick those upsets. I'm not going to touch this one. I've been picking the Jets a lot more than I should have this year. No, I can't do it this one. Chiefs going to win. Next game here, we have the LA Rams traveling to Miami to face Tua and the Miami Dolphins. Rams are 4.5-point favorites. Are they going to win this game?
This game could go 2 different ways. They could, have a little bit of Tua magic and play how they have been the past few weeks. And the Dolphins have been playing pretty good football. So I don't think the Rams are as intimidating as their 5-2 record would say. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're going to go in there and blow them out. But if Miami doesn't if they don't have a little bit of that Tua magic, this can go really awful for the Dolphins. Tua can get kind of rocked in his first game back. He hasn't played in a while. And his first game going against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey in this Rams defense, that could be scary. So either they're going to have a shot and keep this game close, or they're going to get absolutely demolished by that defense. So I don't know, but I think the Rams win either way.
Look, I'm going to have to see some more out of this kid, Tua, before I can, just start picking him to win games. The Rams, they're one of the best teams in the sport. I'm going to have to go with the Rams here.
Tua time. It's official. It's happening. And he's going to get his first win against the Rams. The Rams offense has been disappointing to me. And their Dolphins defense, a lot of money invested in that defense. That's finally coming together. I think the defense is a good game. They confused Jared Goff. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And Tua's been preparing his whole life for his first NFL game. We know this kid is ready at a drop of a hat. He won the national championship game in 1/2. He can beat the LA Rams in his debut, having 2 weeks to prepare for it. Give me Tua. He's going to fare better than his brother did. His brother, the Maryland quarterback, had 3 picks, 100 yards. Not a good performance against Northwestern. This is the NFL. Tua, he's better than his brother. He's going to win this week. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens might be the game of the year so far, and it's the 1 o'clock game on a Sunday. Most people won't even be able to see it. Not ideal for the NFL. But the Ravens are 3.5-point favorites at home against Big Ben and the undefeated Steelers. Do they stay undefeated, or the Ravens get the big win this week?
I don't know how well the Ravens match up with the Steelers. I think the Steelers match up really well against the Ravens because they have that defense to slow down Lamar Jackson. And the Ravens these are probably like 2 of the top 5 defenses in football. So I think the Steelers just have some right magic going right now. I think Big Ben isn't asked to do too much. I think he's hitting the plays that are there for him. Deontay Johnson looked really good last week, so he's going to be a big boost that offense. Chase Claypool, besides last week when he had -1 yards, has been phenomenal for the Steelers. So they have a lot going their way. James Conner is finally healthy. So I think they'll win this game because I think they get a little bit of an early lead. The Ravens offense isn't built to kind of go up against a good defense like the Steelers have, unless they're working from ahead and they can dominate on the run game. But the Ravens' run game is nowhere near what it was last year. Mark Ingram is hurt and looks like a shell of himself. They haven't used J.K. Dobbins as much as they nearly should. They can get him a lot more involved. Lamar Jackson as a passer has not looked good this year. I don't think the Ravens – I think the Ravens, they can easily win this game. I think they're one of the best 5 teams in the league. But I think the Steelers team's just working right now. Everything is going their way. So until they prove me wrong, I think I'm going to pick them every week.
Yeah, Pittsburgh they've been dominant. They've been undefeated. I'm not sure if I've picked against them at all this year, but yeah, man. Pittsburgh Steelers, what else can you say? Undefeated. They're going to continue to undefeated run, and I don't see how anybody can pick them until they lose a game. So, look, Lamar Jackson, it's just not going to be your week, bro.
I'll tell you what. This is the week they're going to lose a game. The Baltimore Ravens are going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are 6-0. Yes, I know, but they are not as impressive to me as everybody else. Big Ben has not looked that great. They had the great first half last week, but they should have lost that game to the Titans. The Titans blew it in the second half. Steven Gostkowski missing a field goal saved Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers have wins over the Giants, Broncos, Texans, and Eagles. All those teams don't even have two. They have 2 wins at the most. The Browns, yes, they have 5 wins, but I talked about how unimpressive the Browns have been this year. Titans, yeah, it's a good win, but the second half is what scares me in that game. The Ravens haven't been all that impressive either, but give me the better quarterback, and I think Lamar Jackson right now is better than Big Ben Roethlisberger, and he's had a week to prepare for this game. So I think the Ravens win this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The luck is going to run out this week for the Steelers. Next game on the schedule, we have the LA Chargers going to Denver to face the Broncos. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. Who you got in this one?
Now, the Chargers, they're a pretty fun team to watch. I think the doctor who punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung should get an award for what they did for that offense. No offense to Tyrod Taylor, but they look like a completely different team with Justin Herbert under center. He's electric. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in football already. He's throwing for 300 yards a game, and he's just lighting it up on offense. But, I mean, that Chargers defense is it hasn't been great lately. They gave up 25-ish points to the Jaguars. They can't hold on to leads, but they're lucky they're playing the Broncos, and the Broncos offense has been running in mud lately. Their defense isn't great either, so I think this can be a pretty high-scoring game, but give me the Chargers.
Man, this is tough. I'm probably going to have to agree with the Chargers, man. You said it about Justin Herbert. He actually won this week, it's incredible for that kid's psyche to actually win with the team, a young player. That's something that he'll never forget. So yeah, I'm going to go with the LA Chargers there.
Yeah, give me the Chargers as well. I love Justin Herbert. The way he's been playing has been fantastic. Drew Lock is coming off a tough loss last week. They went to New England. They beat the Patriots. I thought they were turning a corner. Turned out they were not. They had a rough showing this week against the Chiefs. And I think the Chargers win. It should be a fun battle. It should be a good game, but I do think the Chargers get the win here. New Orleans Saints travel to Chicago to face the Bears. Saints are 4-point favorites. Who you got in this one?
Now, I don't like either of these teams and how they're playing. They both only have 2 losses, but neither of them have been that impressive. I mean, New Orleans, they've haven't looked like themselves. Drew Brees doesn't look like himself. They're really missing Michael Thomas, and I don't know what's happening with Michael Thomas or if he's going to play. At this point, I'm just going to assume he's not playing. So if he doesn't play, I don't trust that Saints offense. But, I mean, you look at Chicago, and they're such a bad 5-2 team. They looked horrible against the Rams. Nick Foles looks atrocious behind center. So neither teams really give me too much confidence, but I can't pick the Bears. So give me the Saints.
I can't pick the Bears. I'm probably going to pick the Saints. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Andrew. The Bears, to me, look, they're not one of the worst teams in the NFL, clearly. But to me, they just haven't looked impressive all year, man. And the Saints, behind their veteran quarterback, just behind the fact that they have been there, done that, that's a team that they're not going to lose.
Yeah, give me the Saints in this one as well. I can't see the Bears winning this game. I will be shocked if the Bears win this game. I don't expect to be shocked at all on Sunday. Give me the Saints to win this one. 49ers at the Seahawks. Fun one in the NFC West again. Seahawks 3-point favorites. Seahawks never play a normal game, and I don't expect this to be any different. Who's going to win this one?
The Seahawks are such a tough team to predict because they only have one loss in the year, but they haven't dominated a team really, besides maybe not even Miami. They haven't dominated a team this year. So, I mean, I think Seattle will win. I think they'll just ride some Russell Wilson magic. That 49ers defense is starting to look a lot more like it did last year than it did in the beginning of the year. So I think Jimmy G is going to start playing better once he gets healthier and healthier. I think this Niners team, I don't know who they're going to try out there at running back. Maybe Tevin Coleman comes back, but every week someone else is getting hurt for the Niners. The Seahawks, I think DK Metcalf has a bounce-back game, and I think they win the game.
I'm going to have to go with Seattle here. Look, very disappointing loss on Sunday. That's a game that they had. That's a game they should have never lost. A very embarrassing loss, regardless of who it was to and, the guy we don't speak of, Kyler Murray. But, yes, the Seahawks are going to win, and I have no doubt in my mind that they are going to come out in a big way, and they are going to shut out the competition.
Yeah, give me the Seahawks in this one. I think they're pissed off about their loss, and they want to take it out. The Niners, they have shown this year that just when they start looking real good, they have a stinker in there. 2 injured. I think that the Seahawks do win this game. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, DK Metcalf, these guys won't let them lose 2 games in a row this year. Give me Seattle to win this one. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, the battle for first place in the NFC East. Sunday Night Football. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites. Who would have thought? Who is going to win this one?
I want to take the Eagles, and I want to take the Eagles to cover this game. The Cowboys, if you watched any of their snaps the past 2 weeks, it's been awful. Ben DiNucci is going to start for the Cowboys this week, probably. I don't think Dalton's going to be back in time. But, I mean, no matter who they put at quarterback, that offensive line is a mess now. And who would have thought 2 years ago that this offensive line would become what it was now? Zeke has done nothing the past couple of weeks. He can't run behind this offensive line. The Cowboys still have superstar wide receivers, but if they don't have a quarterback to get them the ball, they're not going to be able to move the ball. So if they can't move the ball and they have by far the worst defense in the NFL, I don't see how they can win this game. I mean, Philly is not a world beater by any means. They're the worst division leader in the NFL right now. But, I mean, Carson Wentz, love him or hate him, he's getting it done some way, somehow. It's not always pretty. It's usually pretty ugly. But, I mean, with Boston Scott and these ragtag Travis Fulgham type players, they're getting it done. So I think Philly wins. I think they ride their defense to a big win.
Regardless of who wins this game, and regardless of who ends up winning the division, one of these teams is looking at a first-round exit. None of these teams are built for the long haul. None of these teams are built to win a championship trophy. But I do see the Cowboys winning this week. Now, look, you guys might not agree with me. You guys might say, look, they don't have their star quarterback. There's going to be nobody throwing to their star wide receivers. But I do feel something with who they do have starting. And my guy to look out for this week, and he has been looking good over these past few weeks, CeeDee Lamb. Every game, this guy's getting just a little bit better, and expect this week to be no different.
Now that I know Pablo has a connection with Ben DiNucci, I will not pick the Cowboys because I just don't see how that would ever work out. Both these teams are terrible. The Giants should have beat both of them over the last month. Very depressing that they lost both those games, but I digress. I believe that the Cowboys, they always have these years thrown in. They're very consistent. They're very always up there, 8 wins, 9 wins every year. But they always, right in the middle of those, they throw in these clunker seasons where everybody gets injured and they have a top 5 pick. They got Zeke out of it last time. They might get their quarterback to replace Dak this time. Who knows what they'll do? Maybe they'll pick Penei Sewell because they need to replace some of these guys on the offensive line who are often injured. But I do believe the Eagles win this game. I think I'm rooting for the Washington football team to win the division. The Giants still got a shot. I don't even know what to think. I don't even know if I should be rooting for the number 1 pick or for the number 1 seed in the division. But I'm going to go with the Eagles to win this game, even though they broke my heart on Thursday. And finally, Monday Night Football. We get the Giants back in prime time. And it's nothing like a 10.5-point home underdog on Monday Night Football because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming to town. Tom Brady versus the Giants. Are we going to see some magic, or will Tom Brady embarrass us on Monday?
I'll tell you what, ESPN is lucky that the Buccaneers look as good as they do, because if this was the Buccaneers of last year and the Giants of this year matching up, that would be a really, really ugly game.
Right, but last year's one was fun, the Giants Buccaneers, but it's all been downhill since then.
But I think the Buccaneers, they're rolling right now. I mean, they're playing perfect football. Their offense is clicking. Tom Brady is fit like a glove in this Bruce Arians offense. Their defense, this is one of the best defenses in the league. This is the best the Buccaneers defense has looked in a decade. So I don't see a scenario where the Giants can win this game. I think they'll keep it a little close. I don't think they're going to get completely demolished. I think the Giants, they've been looking a little bit better on offense. Their defense should be respectable as it has been this year. So I don't think they're going to wipe the floor with the Giants, but I think the Buccaneers will win pretty handily. Tom Brady's just rolling right now. Please, Tom Brady, please throw the ball to Mike Evans, please. That's all I ask. I don't care if you win or lose, just throw the ball to Mike Evans.
Look, the Buccaneers. We all know that they have Tom Brady. We all know that they have Rob Gronkowski, but they also added a fellow member of the Odell Beckhamitis,
the winner of the Odell Beckhamitis bracket challenge.
Yes. Did he win that challenge?
He did win. He did
win that challenge. Exactly. Antonio Brown. Brown. He be on the Browns because that's what he is. He's crap. But just expect him to just. Oh my God! I don't know if he's playing this Monday. He's not, right?
No, he starts week 9.
He starts week 9. Okay, but regardless, I think they're going to demolish the Giants, bro. The Giants, they had that fluke victory, that they shouldn't have even won. They should be, a winless team right next to the Jets. That's how bad they have been, regardless of the fact that they have just been improving week by week. They're still really bad. The Buccaneers are going to kill them.
The Giants are so close to 0-7, but they're also so close to 4-3. It is a fine line in the NFL. A last-second field goal, a Boston Scott game-winning touchdown pass with 30 seconds left in the game, a 2-point conversion where Riverboat Ron gets too greedy. That's how close it's been for the Giants this year. Joe Judge comes to New England. He only watched Tom Brady play for the last 7 years, and he knows everything about Tom Brady because he was the receivers coach. That sounds like I'm setting up for a Giants victory, doesn't it?
I don't know where you're going with this. You're worrying me.
Because I am. The New York Giants, the fighting Joe Judges, they get that defining victory of the season against the Buccaneers this week. I don't even know if I'm confident in that pick, but I'm doing it anyway. I think the Giants – they win a close one against the Buccaneers, Monday Night Football, because if they don't, it is going to get ugly the rest of the year if they can't pull out some wins. And if they lose this game, which most people are expecting them to, Monday Night Football prime time, it might finally be the time that John Mara opens his eyes and fires Gettleman. But until that happens, I will keep the hopeless optimist Giant fan of me inside for this podcast, and I believe they will win a close one against the Buccaneers.
Did Joe Browning give you a fresh batch of the Kool-Aid before the show, or what's up?
I got the fresh Kool-Aid. It's in the fridge. It's ready for Monday. We're ready. We're all ready for Monday Night Football. It's going to be a fun weekend, hopefully. And that's all we got for picks this week. But another thing this weekend is Halloween, and I warned you guys about the Halloween character draft that we got to do for the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. All, of course, is in the head, but, it'll be fun to pick. So, Pablo, I believe you are technically the oldest. So we'll give you the number 1 pick here in this Halloween-style draft. So our teams, of course, we count for one of the players on these teams. And then the other 2 players will be filled in by Halloween characters. And we'll leave it to Instagram, Twitter to a vote to see which team would win the tournament, which team would win the matchup. And whoever wins, we'll think of a prize here before the score. But Pablo, number 1 pick, Halloween draft. Who's joining you on the basketball court? Who are you looking out and saying, you're with me?
Let me ask this question. Now, are we looking at their traits from the movies? Are we just looking at appearance? What are we looking at here?
I don't even know how to answer that question. Appearance would have to do something with it because you'd be kind of scared to play against them. But I would say traits from the movies, how this will all correlate to like a basketball court, you know what I mean? You're looking out onto the court and you're trying to pick a team for a 3-on-3. Who are you picking out and going, yeah, I want you on my team?
All right. Well, number one pick here. I'm going to have to go with Mr. Chucky. All right. I'm going to take Chucky from Child's Play. Look, this guy, he might not have the height. He might not have, the legs to do much, but I'll tell you what this guy is going to do. He's going to run around the court here, and he's just going to be the guy. He's going to be the little point guard and he's going to be the playmaker. And I'm telling you what, he's going to be feeding all the balls, all of them, to my main man, Michael Myers. Michael Myers, he's as big as it gets. He's fast, but he doesn't have heavy feet, so you can never hear him coming. He's always just right there, right where you least expect them. So Michael Myers, Chucky from Child's Play, and you have myself. That is a team that, hey, look, we might go undefeated, I don't know, but I don't know who you guys have is on your team.
All right. I'll go next because technically I'm next on the calendar. Andrew, you're the youngest, so you kind of get hosed here. But here are my 2 picks, and I think that I am going to take your team down because Chucky is a complete bust. That is a bad pick. The guy's like 4 feet tall, if that.
Not even.
I'm going to kick him, and he'll be done.
He's fast, though. He runs around.
Easy first pick, Frankenstein. How are you not picking Frankenstein? This guy is huge.
He walks like
Exactly. Just put your hands up. He'll block every shot. Frankenstein's the first pick. So me and Frankenstein running the courts. Who we looking out for? We need somebody who can mess with the minds of other people. Get them off their game. I'm taking Freddy Krueger. This guy's going to come at you in the middle of the night and make you scared to shoot the basketball against us. Me, Freddy Krueger, Frankenstein. We're definitely beating Chucky and Michael Myers. Michael Myers and Chucky are gone. They're not even in the conversation. Right now, I know I am beating that team. But give me those 2. I think that's a good pick, and that's who would win this tournament. But let's see Andrew's picks here.
This is complete and utter bullshit because I was going to pick Frankenstein. I didn't think you would. Okay, fine. You're leaving me with the scraps here. Okay, I'm not the last pick in the draft. Give me Casper the Friendly Ghost. You can't really block him if he's going right through you.
He doesn't have arms, dude. He can't catch the ball.
He doesn't have arms, okay? His little ghost arms, okay? He's going to go right through your legs, and he's going to, dish the ball out. I don't know. This isn't a movie character. Give me the 12-foot skeleton from Home Depot on my team.
What is that?
He's a skeleton that's Halloween themed, so this counts. Okay,
he's not from a movie. He's not even from a TV show. He's from a commercial.
Pass him the rock, and he can easily just drop it in. He's taller than the hoop.
All right, I think we gotta give him a 12. I didn't expect to see a Halloween decoration as a pick, but I think I gotta give it to him.
Listen, I'm the last pick of the draft. There can be some slack here.
So Andrew, the 12-foot skeleton from Home Depot, and Casper, the Friendly Ghost. Pablo, Chucky, and Michael Myers, and me.
Hey, look. I don't know if I'm feeling Chucky anymore. I mean, you really
can't switch your pick. You're getting Chucky. You didn't like it.
That was the first pick of the draft, man.
He had anybody, and he goes, "Give me Chucky from Child's Play."
He's funny though. He can crack jokes.
He doesn't talk.
You'd be like playing with a baby on your team. At least Casper can fly.
Oh man.
But Andrew also has an inanimate object on his team, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Unless there's some Night of the Living Dead shit where the decorations come to life. But all right, so we'll pose that question on Instagram. Which Halloween-themed 3-on-3 basketball team would win? So
well, make sure you do a tail of the tape. I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
Of course, we'll have to do a tail of the tape. We'll get that going.
You know, you put down their height, what movie they're from, you know, their finishing move, you know, things like that. It'd be awesome.
Yep, I'll get the intern right on making that graphic for us. Let's go on to the questions and finish up the Halloween special.
All right, I'll do the questions this week. First, we got a question from Ryan Swanson. Are the Cowboys the worst team in the NFL?
I'll go first this week. We'll switch roles here, and the answer is unfortunately no, because the Jets are still technically an NFL team. But after that, the way they've been playing, I would say they are close second, and that is surprising to say with the Cowboys this year.
Pablo?
Hey man, I don't know how much more I can talk about the Jets, man. This team, they put me to sleep, they bore me, and I just don't want to offend anybody this week.
Yeah, the Cowboys aren't worse than the Jets. Honestly, I think it's a race between the Jaguars and the Cowboys for that number 2 pick as of right now. So, I mean, if you want them to get a better pick, they're in good shape right now. But thinking of how high expectations they had going into the year, it's laughable how bad they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we got a question from Tyler Dusko. Do the Rays force a Game 7 Rays force Game 7 and the Dodgers win? So as me and actually no, Pablo already answered this. He said the Rays force a Game 7, but the Dodgers ultimately win. I said the Rays force a Game 7 and win. Steve also said the Rays are going to force Game 7 and win. So it's 2-1 Rays win in 7, but all three of us agreed that the Rays will at least win Game 6 tonight. Question from
which means they'll probably lose tonight. So.
Which means they'll probably lose tonight. By the time you listen to this, the series is going to be over. Question from PK Patel. Are the Steelers a top 3 team in the league? # Steel Curtain.
No, the Steelers are not a top 3 team in the league. And I'm talking about an undefeated team not being a top 3 team in the league. The Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Packers. Or the Buccaneers. You can put the Buccaneers up there. I would probably put the Buccaneers in the top 3 instead. Steelers, number 4 or 5. This team has not played anybody, and you'll find out this week.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of confidence in the Steelers being the top 3 team in the league. I'll put them there right now just because they're undefeated, and they just came off a win against previously undefeated Tennessee Titans. So I'll give them a little bit of respect for right now. But I do think there's more talented teams in the NFL. Like you said, the Ravens, like you said, the Chiefs, and teams like that, Seattle. I mean, I don't trust Seattle, but there's teams like the Packers that have more talent than the Steelers have, but the Steelers have put it together through the first 7 weeks of the season.
Pablo, you want to try your hand at it or no?
Nah, I'm good. Next question.
Yeah, I'm good. Next question, Pablo. This is right up your alley from Crumhale. What do the Yankees need to do in the offseason to win next year?
I mean, number one, and we haven't really had a section of the podcast of what the Yankees should do. I mean, obviously, I don't like the way they ended their season, like they have been doing, in disappointment. Number one, DJ LeMahieu. I don't care if we don't do anything. DJ LeMahieu has to be the one thing that we do this offseason. DJ LeMahieu is the guy that we need to bring back. That's number one. Number two, the Yankees have a lot of holes in that starting rotation. You do have a lot of guys coming back from injury. You do have guys coming off suspension, and you have young pitchers like Davy Garcia, Clark Schmidt waiting to make an impact. But look, I do think that the guy they should be going after, and I know they're not going to go after because this is a team, they're so okay with being just okay. They don't want to take that next level to be great. They don't want to take that next level to win it all. I don't care, if you make it to the World Series 5 years in a row. If you lose in the World Series, look, that's a disappointing season. Trevor Bauer is the guy they should be going after, but they're not going to go after him. That's one thing. Look, they need a lefty bat. That's another thing. Gleyber Torres, he's not a real shortstop. He should be playing second. Trade away Luke Voigt. I know he had a career year, His value is at an all-time high. Move DJ LeMay over to first. Go get yourself a nice shortstop. A lot of things. If you're not going to be serious about Clint Frazier, go trade Clint Frazier for a pitcher. Brett Gardner, if he's back on this team, it cannot be anything more than a bench bat. I'm tired of this guy being on the team, saying he's not a bench bat, and he's starting games in the playoffs. There's no reason for that. Oh, another thing, bullpen help. This team really needs bullpen help. And, aside from that, look into upgrading the catcher position. Gary Sanchez, I love him. I just can't defend him anymore. It's time to move on. It's time to just weigh your options here.
I can't believe
Pablo Hernandez is sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what it is. What are you saying, Andrew? My bad.
I'm surprised that it took him this long to give up on Gary Sanchez.
I didn't give up on him, but I just think I just think if he's going to be good, it's not going to be with the Yankees.
Last but not least, we have a question from Olga Latash. Now that Rutgers finally won a game, can they compete somewhat in the Big Ten this year?
Can they compete in the Big Ten? Short answer is no, they cannot, because they're still Rutgers. They still have to play Ohio State. They still have to play Michigan. They still have to play Penn State. They still have to play Indiana. And they might beat Indiana this week, but they still have to play those three juggernauts. Wisconsin, they are not on that level yet. They hopefully will be soon. Michigan State has had an insane fall from grace from what they were. They may not compete in the Big Ten. They're not going to be there for the title in the end, but they could get some sneaky wins to build their program, to show to the recruits that they are building a culture of winning here. And that is what Greg Schiano, that's all he needs to do this year in this COVID-shortened season. So I think if they have good performances against Ohio State, Michigan, teams like that, and get some wins over the teams in the lower tier, like Northwestern, like Indiana, the type of those teams, although Indiana's ranked 17th now. But if they do win this week against Indiana, I do think they will be ranked, and I think that will be enough to kind of shock some recruits into going to Rutgers.
That they'll be ranked.
You beat Michigan State and you beat a ranked Indiana team. It's a weird year.
The arrow was finally pointing up for Rutgers, which we haven't said in years and years and years. So hopefully they can at least they're not going to compete in the Big Ten, but they'll be respectable. I don't think they'll get blown out nearly as much as they have in the past. And that's huge for recruiting, get these homegrown recruits, keep these kids in New Jersey and keep them building that program close to home with Greg Schiano. So hopefully good things to come.
Yeah, they're 100% on the upswing right now, which it's tough to see the bright lights on the other side in the Chris Ash era. But now it's looking good. That's the last question?
Yeah, it's the last question we got.
That's all we got for Before the Score, episode number 37, our Halloween special. Everyone have a great Halloween. Enjoy the World Series. Enjoy football this weekend. I know I probably won't with the Giants, and Andrew probably won't with the Jets, but we'll try. So enjoy the episode. Follow us Instagram, Twitter, and come back next week for episode 38.
Outlook good.